Hi guys, my name is Cheryl Castillo, and I'm going to talk about kids that are going into second grade. Okay, how do I know when a child is ready to learn? First, I want you guys to know that I work as an ELL para at the Big Piney Elementary, middle school and high school. And I'm going to talk, when we got this assignment, all I could do is think about her and how things started working with her. So I'm going to talk to her about her for a minute in this slide. She's a second grader. She just came from us from Mexico. Okay, this child, she didn't even know how to read or write, math, anything in her own language. She didn't know the letters or the sounds, nothing in her own language, which is really sad because she's 7 years old, second grade. Sometimes I think it's okay not to know in your own language, but I think it's nice to have that borderline right there so you could go back and forth. So we're going to start from scratch. I use a program that I've come up with a lot because I've been doing this for 13 years. So when at first it was like, she wasn't ready to learn because all she wanted to do was sit there. She wanted to play. She wanted to color, always asking for candy. But she did not learn, and I would spend hours and hours with her. Every day I was with her for in the morning, I was with her for an hour. In the afternoon, I was with her for another 30 minutes, and then I would go in her classroom and work with her. And we would go over the letters constantly, but she would still not get them in her head. She just wanted to play. And even if I would say the letter and she would say it and I would pick it up 2 seconds later, she could not remember that letter or the sound. So she wasn't ready. But I still kept on working with her, talking to her. Come on, honey, we need to do this. It's going to be awesome once you start learning. And one day it just clicked. It was amazing. It's like a light bulb came up on their head. Love that. She all of a sudden knew the letters and sounds. She was starting to put them together. There's still times that she would get confused. She's a little slow, but it clicked on her, and she's starting to go now, which is amazing. Love it. Oh, okay. What are the development characteristics that a ready-to-learn student would show? Well, like I said, when they're not ready, you sure do know. But when they're ready, you also know. A second grader has more stamina with reading, playing games, working on their work, like seat work or board work or whatever you call it. They have more stamina doing it. Like in our school, we do a lot of morning work, where we could do centers and stuff. And they have more stamina to do a center, do a game, more patience. Okay? Their muscles are better for writing because they could grip those pencils and write lots more. They could cut with the scissors more. Straight lines, every kid could cut pretty much, but they could hold the scissors right and they could cut how you're supposed to on the lines. They could zip up their zippers. They could do their buttons up. They could tie their shoes better. They're not flopping it around. They have more control with their fingers. They ask lots of questions in class to understand it better in their own heads. They understand things better like math, like turnaround facts. 6 plus 2 equals 8. Obviously, 2 plus 6 is 8. We do triangles, and most elementary schools do. Triangles. Up here is the 8. Down here is 6. Down here is 2. And they use those triangles, and it makes more sense to them. Using all the sounds in the right way, like ah, b, k. All the letters, they're using it right. And they understand what a k is. It's not a K, it's a C. They know where to put it most times. They still struggle, but, most times. They learn more words because they're reading more. They're constantly reading in class and at home and stuff. When writing, they express themselves better. They know how to write it. Sometimes they mess up and they're not sometimes they're not the best writers because sometimes they just plot it all down, but they got the drift and they're their writing is a lot better in second grade than they were in first grade. They talk things out about the problems they're having. Like if they don't understand what 8 minus 2 is, they know how to use it. They have their number lines. They have their fingers. They know how to figure it out. And if you ask them the question, they could talk it out and figure it out like that. They know how to use their tools. Okay. What are developmental characters that may alter, for good or bad, their readiness? They have for the bad things, they have problem cutting papers. I also have another second grader that her mom and dad would never let her cut in kindergarten, first grade. So when she's cutting, it looks worse than a kindergartner would. She's trying to grab it and she cannot control the paper and the scissors and to cut a straight line around things or anything by herself. She just can't. We're working on it. But for a second grader, that's hard. They struggle with sounding out words. Here, I have 2 second graders. And the other girl, one of my girls, she struggles sounding out the words because when she was growing up, her parents did it all for her. They didn't show her how to even do it in her own language. They don't know how to sound out letters, sounds and the letters. So if you show her a B or a C, she don't know what it is, and she don't know the sounds. So that means that she's not ready for second grade work. They don't know how to do addition or subtraction facts or figure them out fast, because most second graders, they know their facts. 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4. So that makes 2 plus 3 is 5. They know their doubles. So they know how to do a double to make one more. They know that. They've learned that. Some kids struggle with that. And so that's the bad part of not being totally ready. They can't focus well. They're like when you're playing a game. A lot of like math games and stuff, you have a group of 4 and like you're doing Top It. Okay? That's a good fast game. But when you're doing Top It, sometimes that other child is just daydreaming and you can't play it because they just don't have the stamina, the focus there to really handle a game. They can't stay on task more than 5 to 10 minutes. Granted, that comes back to like group work, or spelling words, or, like on a spelling test, everybody has to be quiet. You're writing your words down as the teacher says it, and you don't have the stamina. You don't have the right. You just can't stay on task more than that. You could do it for a couple minutes and then you're done. Now, the good things are, some of them are, well, this is good or bad. They could read very well. I have one of my ELL kids that was in second grade could read amazing in English, which was wonderful. They space out a lot in class because they already know what the teacher's teaching. So they're spacing out, oh, wow, wonder what book I could read next, So, and so it's hard for them to stay focused that way too, because they already know it. They're higher than a normal second grader, and there's kids like that. How do major development characters interact with each other in the learning process? If your child is not ready to learn or is ready for that grade, the child will be very slow in their work. Like a math problem. They have to sit there and count on their fingers or use the number lines or use objects. Like in class we use like blocks or piggies or whatever you have, The child would not know what is going on in class and they get lost because they're daydreaming all the time. I don't know. This is too hard. When they say it's too hard, they don't understand everything. The child would get further and further behind in their studies. The child don't understand this problem here, number 1, but the teacher is expecting them to do 1 through 10 by themselves. If they still can't get number 1 done and everybody else is done with 10 and they're still stuck, they're getting further and further behind because they don't understand. You need it's and they will get further and further behind if the teacher don't stop and help or try to get that student up to par. The child would not know how to talk to the peers or the teachers. You know, I think this is very true because here you have a child that is not up to second grade level, but is in second grade because that's their age or whatever. But they really don't know how to talk to their friends or how to say, hey, Mrs. Castillo, I need some help because I don't understand this. How do I do 2 plus 5? How do I do doubles, 5 plus 5? I don't understand that. They don't have the knowledge to speak out and say that. Some kids. And they don't have knowledge to talk to their peers. Hey, would you want to go play outside today? Let's play hide and seek, or let's play chase or something. Sometimes the kids don't have that knowledge to speak up to their peers or ask them questions too to help. Like I said before, a lot of daydreaming in lecture time because they are lost, and so once they start getting lost, they're just going to be lost forever till you get them back down to earth. The child would struggle even with help from the teachers or their peers because they don't understand. Like if they don't understand a problem, and if the teacher is not understanding that child is lower, sometimes this happens, I guess, but the teacher doesn't help in the right way, I guess is what I want to say. So it's nice to know how the student is and if that student needs extra help, and that teacher needs, as a teacher, we all need to step up and teach any kid that we have. Okay, thank you very much for spending some time with me and letting me tell you about my stuff. You guys have a wonderful day and happy Thanksgiving.